You're literally Frodo right now.
He's the hero ever. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gollum's Gamers, where today I am joined by Ali for another emergency podcast. Now, there was a point where we were doing these almost weekly, it felt like, but the amount of views of news has slowed down a lot with the release of the new edition. But the February FAQ was released yesterday. It feels a little bit odd even calling it an emergency podcast, as there's not really any game-breaking changes or anything, but we thought we'd hop on to give our thoughts on the FAQs and what was announced. So as always, you can find us on Instagram and Spotify by following the links in the description down below. And please do remember to subscribe to us here on YouTube, as roughly 60% of everyone who watches isn't actually subscribed. So if you do enjoy all of the MESBG content that we make, that would be very much appreciated. So here on the screen, we do have the article for the February FAQ. Now, everything that they've sort of said in the article is obviously in the FAQ document. So we'll go through those. But I guess the key thing, Ali, which lots of people had not seen coming with the release of the FAQ, is this bad boy, Mr. BOLG. A plastic BOLG, eh? Thoughts?
Yeah. Should we talk about the model first and then talk about why it may exist?
Yeah, sure. Let's start, and then we'll read about it as well. Yeah. So, starting on the model itself, sure.
So, to put it this way, when my first instinct reaction was "ooh," and then
"ooh."
My second reaction was, "Oh, actually, that bow's detachable, and the paint scheme on the skin is the main thing." It's like, I mean, he's got to get a contract with L'Oreal or something like that, because it's some smooth ass pale skin there.
Yeah.
but yeah, no. But then actually, it's kind of going. I actually do quite like it a lot. Sort of, it's one of those weird ones where my first reaction was definitely harsh, and then I looked at it, and then I think it's partly because of where the bow, at least on the angle where they've got it. On the mounted one, it kind of looks a bit like it's floating in the air.
Attached to him, yeah.
Yeah, and then on the foot one, I think it's just the angle. I think the foot one will look a lot better without the thing on the back anyway.
Yeah. Because when you think of BOLG, you don't think of him on the warg or even on foot with like a quiver and bow on the back. Right?
Yeah.
What you think of. So yeah, you'll be able to take that off. I do find sort of how he looks. I think he looks a lot less like BOLG than the previous BOLG did in terms of just the face. I think the face of the other one looked a lot.
See, I think that's a transition to plastic kind of sort of thing. I think because if you look at a lot of plastic models, they can be really great, but because they're not sculpted in the same way, they're a bit too clean sometimes.
The Elrond on foot, I remember sort of having a bit of a angular sort of face. I don't know compared to
but admittedly, I don't actually think it's a bigger issue with BOLG because where we CGI in the film anyway. It's almost maybe more film accurate.
Yeah.
But I do quite like it. I think
like it.
The skin just needs toned down a little bit.
Yeah.
I love the idea the warg is actually still really long as well, and that they've just I'll put him at an angle and twist him around.
I like the warg. It looks obviously very similar to the other wargs, like the plastic fell wargs that we have, and I really like those. So the warg's okay. It's got the scar bit on the back, which is kind of cool. I think it's a little bit how he's got his arm with the weapon is up really high and to the left, and then you've got the legs kicking out high and to the right. It's he's kind of going in all kinds of directions. So it's a very dynamic pose, put it that way, which I guess sometimes they're too static and we complain about that. So
no, I'm the opposite. I tend to prefer a more static pose, but that's because I always think dynamic poses kind of look a bit funny when you're using them on the tabletop.
I mean, it does look quite interesting there. I do like it.
Oh, it's a good pose. It's not over the top. It's when you get the cloaks which are overly spinny because they're dropping down from the stuff, or Legolas is jumping off his rock and not jumping off his rock, it's the wood trunk and dragging him around the battlefield with him. But no, I really like the foot one actually. If you take the bow off, that's more my kind of model.
Yeah, no, I like that one. It's just going to be odd moving him around on a 40mm base. God, that's That's
Is
just
it how often did you use BOLG?
not too much. I used him a little bit lately, but I used him a little
In your
bit.
theory hammer games, like very often, but
Solo
no,
hammer games, Ali. Well, I guess they are
yeah,
theory hammer as well. I guess I am kind of
yeah.
theory hammer, sure.
Um,
But yeah, and obviously the fact they're doing a plastic model is nice. I thought he would have been in Forge World. I thought if they were going to go and just remake a model like this, they do it in Forge World because it's a lot cheaper, I believe, for them to make Forge
yeah, I
World.
mean, it's
So
not. Is this the first plastic Hobbit kit we've got? Like in terms of since the Hobbit range
I
came
hear,
out?
yeah, wow. Since The Hobbit came out, is it the first time they've done anything new for The Hobbit since The Hobbit came
Well,
out?
I mean, we got like Iron Hills stuff, and
Oh,
we
oh,
got, and we've had a couple of Forge
Defense in the
World
North.
like Keeper of the Dungeons and stuff like that. But I
Where's
don't
your
think we've had a plastic
like a
Hobbit hero
redo
kit
of yeah, no, no.
apart from Elrond. I mean, Elrond knows kind of Lord of the Rings, but
That does not count
exclusively,
really. Let's be honest. Yeah.
yeah.
So the model's cool. Yeah, I will get it at some point. I won't get it now as I have my washing machine bulg. The OG listeners of the pod will remember washing machine bulg. But yeah.
I probably will get him. I've already got like
Yeah.
the existing bulk,
Yeah.
but what
I like these.
you know the mace bit thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely snapped off over the like when I was using it,
Yes,
sort of.
yeah, that's quite low quality to be fair on that
Yeah,
resin kit,
yeah,
the weapon, but that one looks cool. And obviously it's plastic. Plastic's just super nice to paint. So and I actually spent quite a lot of time painting the bulk that I have now. So I'd like
yeah.
to do that again. So yeah, model's good.
I wonder how much customizability there will be in it.
Yeah, with
Because
yeah,
like a lot of these plastic kits, like the airmail one and that, like come with bajillions of different options.
yeah. I
This one
want
looks like it's probably a lot more limited, which I don't think is a bad thing. I don't know.
could you change the
Uh,
weapon? I don't know. But like he did have that big sort of club thing
yeah,
throughout the films, didn't he? And he used
yeah,
that. So
and you didn't really see him in many other like
yeah.
outfits.
No, no, that is bold.
Uh,
So
yeah,
yeah, fair enough. Model's nice, but just very unexpected. You know, we were expecting the FAQ. They released the FAQ a little bit early, naughty GW, the night before that everyone jumped on immediately. So we assumed that we were going to get it the following day, which was yesterday, and we did. But yeah, we were not expecting to see this in the
yeah.
articles. I guess
Well,
that
it also does raise the question as well, like because plastic kits tend to take a lot longer historically lead time.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
like how long has this guy been waiting to come out? And
yeah.
is there other Hobbity stuff? Like, is it the case of World War Home kind of jumped in when they were going to start doing a plastic bulk, maybe a plastic Azog?
Well, it's either something like that or it came around with the new edition where they sort of, yeah, because obviously the new edition would have been planned for quite some time where they knew, someone like this is going to cause a problem with, that we're going to put the base sizes in the profiles.
I mean, it's
But
not like GW don't just go, oh, cool, we'll just repackage and you can have the circle base. It's like the 40 mil base.
yeah, but the model wouldn't have fit on the circle base though, would it?
Oh, that's never stopped them in the past.
I find it very hard to see a world where they would have
Uh,
released
I,
that
I,
bulk on a
I,
40 mil base.
I think this model was already designed and planned, and it's maybe just been bumped up the reschedule because of the new.
So you don't think
Um,
it's because of the new edition that they
I think that's why we've got it now, but I think it was always gonna come out.
No, I think if anything, yeah, they were releasing the new edition, and this was at the top of the list of things they sort of had to change because it just was not going to work.
Yeah,
Um,
but I think if that was the case, they just would have left Bolg on a special size base,
they could have done that, but then that wouldn't have made sense with
or
the
put
base
him
size
on a
they have in
50,
the profile. I
yeah,
think
or
they
put
just
him on a
needed
50 mil. But I mean, as in like
they could have put it on a 50 mil and changed
the
the size
investment it would
maybe.
cost them to make a plastic kit,
Yeah,
like
I guess we'll see.
they would change the rules as opposed to changing the
Yeah,
model.
like that is
Yeah.
fair enough. I guess we'll see if there's even one other model. Say they release an Azog, then I think I'd agree with you more because then obviously, yeah,
Oh,
maybe
we're definitely getting Azog at some point,
more
but
of these.
possibly not until we get a supplement, which where we get like the missing stuff from Azog's Legion.
Yeah, it's whether this is just like a one-stop thing, and now we're going to go back to like War of the Rohirrim stuff, or whether over
Mm,
say the next year or even longer, we're going to get more of these trickling in. I don't know.
yeah,
Um,
probably.
Yeah. So, well, that's sort of what they. So, if I scroll up a little bit here, so because they were talking here about the base sizes, I think. Yeah, and that's led into this. But what about BOLG's WARG? So, perhaps the most common question we received was in regards to the base size of BOLG's WARG. The rules are very clear. As a WARG should be on a 40 mil base. Yeah. So the new BOLG and then new plastic miniature in the coming months. So when that will be, I don't know. Will this be
The,
before the
the
third
the
book?
S on the months is not
No,
it's not filling with confidence.
no, years. I don't know.
It,
You
but I
know,
reckon we'll get it by November.
is it going to be before the new book?
Yeah.
For the match play guide? I mean, I certainly hope not. I trade this model for match play guide and the third book, the army's book. Yeah, but is there anything else down here? Yeah, or getting permission from your opponent if you want to use the oval base instead. So, as a tournament organizer, Ali, what would be your view on this?
Well, if someone asks me, I go do use either. I don't mind as long as it's consistent for the weekend.
Okay. So
Uh,
oval base bulk still in play.
yeah, because as we said, it would be a pain in the ass to cut him off and try and fit him on a 40
That's
mil.
it.
At least until this model comes out.
So
It's
once
one of
this
those ones.
one's out,
Yeah, one of my general things is if the model isn't available, then you can do pretty. Like I'll give you a lot more
yeah, because it's
flexibility.
not. Yeah, yeah. But once he comes out in plastic, he'll be out sort of
Yeah,
forever.
I think there's a bit less of a reason to continue using the oval.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, the oval base like is. I'm trying to think if it's more of a I think it's more of a disadvantage when I've used it than an advantage.
Well, it allowed you to sometimes, like charge like three guys or even more potentially at the same time if it lined up properly, which is hard to do. But and obviously with
Yeah,
the kill tally thing with Bolg, like that could be quite important. But they've lowered that, so maybe the reason they lowered it was because they knew he
yeah.
would, he wasn't
But
going to be able to handbrake turn into as many models now with
yeah, but
on a 40 mil base.
you also got like you get trapped a lot easier and stuff like
True,
that and
it's
stuff.
yeah, it takes up a lot more room. So yeah,
I mean, I did use BOLG against Jay in the GT sort of about I don't know 6 years ago now,
fucking hell, you're old.
which was live stream, and I don't think I handbrake turned into him, but I possibly did. He didn't stay on his WAG very long, is what I remember.
And that WAG is now 20 points. So,
Yeah,
yeah, so it will be interesting to see when the new model comes out. Yeah, sort of, whether it's harder to get as many kills now.
he doesn't need as many kills though in the new rules.
Well, that's it. So, is it
Yeah,
easier? I guess so. So yeah, we will see. So that'll do it for bulk. Lovely new model. Props. GW. So we'll move on, I guess, to the start of the FAQs. We'll start with the rules manual. This is
so we haven't had any FAQ on the rules manual yet. The other two we had some questions answered immediately after the edition.
Oh, is there nothing new here?
So all of this is new,
Oh,
whereas the
all
other
of this is
one,
new. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Sorry. I said new. Sorry. Well, I said it was new, right? Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, I was just more adding
you're
extra
just saying that
context.
there wasn't anything else that was out
Yeah,
previously. Gotcha. So all this is brand new. Lovely.
yeah.
Was there anything that, because there's sort of some small clarifications on things, which obviously we won't dive into in too much detail, but was there anything that jumped out immediately, say starting on this one?
The one that jumped out immediately was the monstrous charge and
This
the
here.
cavalry and do they stack, which rules as it was written was yes, you get +2 attacks. It is no longer the case as it probably should be.
Yes.
That was clearly an oversight, which
People
so
were quick to start abusing.
yeah,
Uh,
it's one of those difficult ones as a TO because it's hard to rule against something which is actually quite black and white in the rules, unless if you
uh,
get GW to
I mean,
release a handy FAQ.
as the TO, I guess like you are allowed to rule as you see fit, but then like you're not really playing by the
Yeah,
rules of the game. But if
yeah.
you know the rules of the game are sort of wrong,
Oh
then
yeah, well,
I guess it's
it,
fair.
it, at least this is a sort of like competitive tournaments, like at the point where you start kind of changing what I would call the main rules of the game when they're clear, you may as well just write your own rule set at that
Yeah,
point. Like where do you stop? You'd be like, oh cool, I think that blah blah should
something
have
is
like
overpowered, or this should be
yeah
different, and then you're just changing whenever you feel like.
yeah
Yeah, well, yeah,
which DOs can do, but in my
yeah.
personal opinion, I would stay
Play
within
the
the
game as it stands. Yeah,
yeah
which we did, I think, and lots of other people did, and but now obviously the clarification there, so no incredibly OP monstrous charge.
Yeah.
So cool. Anything else here?
Um, to be fair, it's quite funny because it came up in our changes you may have missed video, but there's a thing about if you have to charge while mounted,
Oh
which
yes, we did talk about that. Yeah.
which I think was actually already fairly clear at changing the rules, but
Yeah.
now it's doubly clear because someone's asked the question and
clear.
but,
just in case you were unclear.
the another quite big one is heroes dismounting can basically keep their war gear and stuff like that because that was I think a worry for a lot of mounted heroes who like maybe don't have foot models such as Faramir.
Yeah.
So there's not a model of Faramir on foot with a shield.
With arm. Yeah.
Oh wait, there is an armored one.
He's got armor, the mounted one, but that one doesn't have a shield. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like they're going, does he randomly decide to throw away a shield? Fortunately, no, he doesn't. So that is good, but it means there's a bit of contradiction between if you're a troop and a hero on that level, but I prefer it this way.
Yeah, what you keep on. This one here about monsters striking against pikes, I thought that was already quite clear in the rules, no?
I mean, it's one of those ones where I think because it never actually says pike, and pike could be interpreted as being a different thing.
Sure.
So generally, it's a question which I don't feel like it's wasted.
It's fair enough.
Virtual ink being on this document.
Fair enough.
The fearful rule one. So this is whether do you have to take a test for fearful and terror. I'd only actually seen come up like a couple of days before this FAQ went live. And it is yes, you have to take two tests.
It's a completely separate sort of thing. So
which is good because I think it's in is it Minas Morgul or something like that. Otherwise, it would make one of the Witch King's sort of spells a bit pointless.
Yeah, crap. That's a good clarification. And then also with objective markers, markers that you place down, and you overlap them, and yes, you can move over those as it works. They're not.
But actually, more importantly, you can't actually place a marker on top of other models. It looks like for these ones.
Oh, is that what it says? I haven't actually read the full thing.
So there's two parts of it. So there's the top part. So this is like for something like Riving Vines. So the question above, and it basically just says no, you can't place it on top.
On top of models, and then this is the next bit, sure.
So there's maybe a bit more. I don't know how realistic this has come up, but defensive play that if you're as a block, they can't put it in the middle of your block. It would have to go like at the front or like at the sides or stuff like that.
Okay. Does that also apply for like Saruman's thing? Because I thought that's what Farmer did, didn't he?
No, so Saruman's in the Army of the White Hand doesn't target model, it targets a point on the battlefield. It's not an objective marker.
Oh, it's not a marker
that you place down. I wonder. I haven't read the Nazgul of Dol Guldur rules, but that may also be relevant for them.
With where they, the marker is when they.
So it may. So you may be able to force the marker away from an objective. Interestingly, if you're smart.
Okay. Well, that's probably it for these ones. And then anything else here? Mounts can't declare heroic actions. Yeah, sure. Fair enough.
Do you know why that one came up?
I don't.
It's quite funny. So I think people were wondering. When I say wondering, they were like being cheeky wondering as opposed to genuinely
trying to maneuver.
Azog and White Warg can the White Warg call like a heroic combat, while Azog also then calls a heroic strike. Or
might have been you just said that in the chat or something, but that's just sure. Like it is a hero, but it's
only one
when he's on the White Warg. Like
essentially, a model can only call one heroic action per phase.
Why has that only come up now, and that didn't come up before?
I don't know. It may have just been slightly worded differently.
Sure.
I don't really look at it if I'm honest.
Yeah, fair enough. And then for War Beasts here, so I was initially under the impression when I read this, I was like, oh my god, War Beasts can't be compelled and all that sort of thing, but it's only for special rules. So I think in the article it talks about like specters and things, so like you can't use the special rule on the War Beast and then make it move. With special
that was just I think. We forgot to mention that a little bit, like when we sort of wrote this rule.
Sure.
And speaking of forgetting to mention a little bit, the one which I don't know why it set the internet on fire for a little while in January was you can only support with one spear model per like
Oh yeah, that
model.
did. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, so a model can only gain support from one spear armed model at a time.
That's one.
Yeah,
There we go.
and please, no one go and write in going, but what about pikes? Because they're not spears.
Oh God, the FAQ in
Yeah,
September is gonna.
yeah.
Sure.
Or actually, if you want to like inundate the inbox and get another like random FAQ pointlessly taking up space, you
Yeah.
can do that one.
We'll be back in
Uh,
September. Yeah. So cool. That'll probably do it for the ones to the rules manual, I would say. Yeah, that's about it. So we'll move on to the armies of the Lord of the Rings. So obviously here it starts talking about Leggy, and it does the same thing in the Hobbit ones, as obviously Leggy is also in the Hobbit. So did you want to kick things off by talking about Leggy?
I
Leggy
suppose we may as well. I
Mm-hmm.
think arguably this is one of the two biggest things in this
Mm-hmm.
whole entire
Yep.
like FAQ update, which possibly shows it's not the biggest. They haven't done any points changes or anything like that.
No,
But
no.
the answer to the question, which definitely could have gone either way, is yes, Leggy can shoot into combat while mounted, or out
Mm.
of combat even.
Yeah.
Um, and that the caveat only applied to the suffering a -1 penalty to hit for moving and shooting,
Yeah.
which I mean, I'm gonna be honest, the way they've written the rule, it's just completely
Mm.
weird. Like, it's sort of
What led to the
definitely could,
FAQ. So
yeah, it definitely could have been a written clearer, but it does mean that Leggy on horse is actually you're not sacrificing anything by putting him on a horse,
yes,
in that sense. So
which is fair enough because I guess there was all were you going to take him on horse moving forward?
which
If
I thought was an interesting question, but
yeah, it does like
it probably now leans
like,
into the thing that Leggy's maybe a bit good.
too good.
I- Um, I
The
don't know
thing is,
whether I'd say
if
he's
you're
too good. He's definitely on the gooder side of good.
then paying the points for the horse, I think now having to pay 20 points for a horse is just such a big deal in some lists. But like,
Mm,
yeah, is he now just charging in? It's more where he can move the shooting threat too as well,
yeah.
like with the horse is just
Uh,
yeah. Obviously, you're going to have him there in combat, so if he can move into combat and then move away, obviously, he can do that a lot better on the horse. So
yeah. So
interesting.
so we're only a few months into the new edition, and Leggy's already gotten a buff, which is definitely what everyone was crying
Leggy
out
buff
for.
is what we wanted, yeah, for sure, from the first FAQ. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, that's the way they wanted it to be originally. So
yeah.
they could end up reverting this at some point if it is
Oh yeah,
too
they have a history of doing that before, and
you
then
know
they often leave the other answer as well in the FAQ by accident the first time.
it'd just
That,
be funny that they've clarified here, oh yeah, this is how it's actually meant to be, he is actually this,
yeah,
and then in the February FAQ next year
like no. Well, I when I said
yeah.
yes, I actually meant
I
yes in a
actually meant
sense.
no
No.
after some thought about that again, but sure, we had to leave it in because we just announced the new edition, released it.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. But obviously Leggy's already won a 100 farmer one with Leggy on foot.
No, he won him with Leggy mounted,
Oh, he's
and they
mounted.
played it this way. So the way it's been
He was
ruled
on
is how
foot.
the
I'm
TO ruled it.
confused. I thought he was on foot.
No, it was mounted.
I'm bugging. Okay, sure, fine.
But,
And they played it like this with the
yeah,
open.
but
Okay,
it did come out at the event. Um,
sure.
so,
Okay,
but it's the way the TO ruled it on the day.
sure. Yeah, makes sense. So anything else? I see a Realms of Men. Is this of any note here?
Oh, this one also I've seen doing the rounds recently. It's basically because they didn't really say what heroic tier the heroes are in the list, I don't think, or
Oh yeah,
if
because
they're
obviously, yeah, I was very confused when the new edition first came out. I was like looking in the profiles for the heroic tier. I was like, where is it? But obviously, it says in the army lists, so I
yeah.
guess it didn't say in the
So
army.
it I mean, this is going to cause probably a follow-up clarification. So basically, everyone in the Kings of Men list, whatever it's called, the Realms of Men,
Realms.
who isn't a king, will be a hero of fortitude,
Mhm.
including your siege veterans.
Oh yeah, I did see about that. Yeah, sure. So any
So
hero models, yeah, sure.
yeah, so they may need to slightly
They
retroactively
tried to be
clarify.
slick with it there, little Realms of Men buff that they did
But
not foresee.
but no, but what that means is I have to double check actually. I'm just thinking, but isn't the clarification you can only have one siege machine per hero of fortitude or higher?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like that now, but that is what it. Was it Hero of Valor? No, it was Fortitude. So I
No,
don't know.
it's fortitude. So
I don't
let
know
me
if
see
it's
if I can find it in
all
there,
like that
because
now.
now
Rule book,
it
folks.
arguably means you could just go one King of Men and then just everything via
Go
like a
Yeah,
siege machine,
I
which
think.
especially if the Avenger Bolt Thrower comes back, like
Yeah.
could be a funny list. But
Oh,
yeah,
if
no,
that could be added into this list. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yes.
imagine it will be, seeing as though
Yeah.
they can take everything that's not a named
Yeah. Yeah.
hero
That
generally.
like generic men can do.
Yeah.
Ali is a generic man
Did you just say I'm a generic man?
as he reads his rule book.
Oh,
You need some glasses on as well for this.
I don't. My vision is generally adequate.
Perfect for reading rule books on
Uh,
podcasts.
yeah.
Um,
Do you want to just go through the next rules while
let's
I see if I can find them?
yes. So there was a clarification, I guess. The Crown of Morgul and the Warg dismount isn't sort of the biggest sort of deal. What happens with Grima's a traitor within special rule if he's taken in an army that does not include Saruman? So if he's taken in an army that doesn't have Saruman, he must be deployed as part of the enemy army and will begin the game already revealed. So, yeah, you can't just take Grima and have the good things that come with Grima without taking Saruman. So I guess was that something that people were potentially doing and trying
I
to
was trying to think, is there a list you can take
Grima?
Grima without Saruman? There
With
must be
Saruman
if this
doesn't have to.
question.
Maybe Muster of Isengard, you don't have to take Saruman as the leader.
Oh, does it specify leader?
Yeah.
Does it?
Well, no, but it's just that you could
Maybe
take
there's
that list without Saruman being the
scenario
leader.
or something
I don't know.
where it's
I
just
thought
got
you
Grima.
could take a Muster of Isengard list without Saruman, but still take Grima.
That's probably the one then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
not
do
that you
you
would
still
do.
get the OP rules? So the answer.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good thing. So yeah, sad Isengard noises. Are we close to that, or should I move on?
Probably not. It may be a pain in the ass for me to find
It probably
because
will. That's quite a specific rule you're looking for there. So
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. So they've added in options for throwing spears to Halith on page 39 and 103. Why have they done it twice? Am I being thick?
One, it's two different lists, isn't it? Because it's basically adding
It's
it
in
to
the
the,
list. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
it's not in the profile. Yeah, sure. Okay.
yeah.
So,
Come on, get with the new edition, Elliot.
what? New
Get with
edition?
the new edition.
No, sorry, I'm stuck in 2019. Yeah, and they've removed the option for a bow from Frelath. They've given Rorgard the option to have horses and throwing spears. I didn't realize that they couldn't do that before, but obviously that's quite a key thing for Rohan in general. So good that they added that in.
Yeah. By the way, I'm giving up finding it. Like,
Yeah,
I'll maybe comment in the video if I actually find the answer.
well,
Or
Ali's very active down in the comments, folks. So give him all of your abuse. And then
I certainly got that on one of the videos.
you did. And then Kira Thungal, some clarifications there. And Muster of Isengard can now take an Urkai drummer. So is that not the case?
No, and I love this change. I like that list, and the one thing I was sad about is it doesn't have a drummer,
I think
and
I
now
might have
it
said
does.
that on a pod.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe that's why it's been added. Maybe Jay is like actually an avid Gollum's gamer.
If Jay does watch our videos, so shout out Jay Clare.
So,
Yeah,
so we'll just start saying really nice things about everything just in case.
all the time. Yeah, love the new edition. I mean, the army list, absolutely magnifique.
But yeah, I'd say that's the second biggest change for me.
The second biggest change in the FAQ is that Muster of Isengard can now take an Urkai.
Wow, to be fair, it's more of a demonstration that there aren't that many
there you go
big changes, but because it does dramatically like change how you can build that list and stuff. You already got the free heroic march on turn
but
one,
that doesn't stack with the drum now, does it? So.
No, but it just means that you can literally zoom,
yeah,
and you don't necessarily have to have like your army bubbled up in the same way as you possibly would do.
Yeah. Very fast. So 35 points is a lot, but yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to the Hobbits clarification. So there's only the one page here. So I guess the first thing was about the strength for elves returning for a very short period of time.
Yeah. But for those who missed, like they updated the links on the FAQ about a day early, but they clearly weren't meant to at the time because it only had the new like updates, and
I don't know
so
why it would even. Why would a
I,
document exist with only the new ones on and
I
not
don't
the
know,
ones in the previous
but
one? Why would they need to produce that document? I
yeah,
don't get
but
it.
it meant for about 16 hours, Mirkwood elves were back up to strength 4. Um, so
So
if
for
you had a game,
clarification, it was
yeah,
it was just because this where it
yeah,
says here that they've been changed to strength 3. This wasn't in the document that was online, so they'd removed that FAQ basically. So they went back
yeah.
up to
But
strength
when but when they actually announced the FAQ, it was back in. So
3, is what it is.
like
So
there was one like evening where you could have gone and absolutely smashed with
someone was
Frandrails.
playing their friend and they checked the FAQ and they went, "Oh, I'm actually strength 4."
Yeah,
And then just murked a hero with plus 1 to win. So
yeah.
that's fine.
Um,
That was fun.
Nature's Wrath has finally got a range on Addy, so it's 3 inches.
They did not have a
Um,
range. Lovely.
no,
Nice.
it was self, so basically Raddy could maybe knock himself prone, but
Oh, yeah, I'm off my eagle. Nice.
yeah, but it's back to 3 inches, which I think is basically how every TO I know was ruling it because it
Yeah.
made sense from last edition.
Yeah.
But it's nice that he actually has a rule now.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
So they've removed this rule from Bilbo. Why was Bilbo fucking,
I
doing.
know he already has 2 attacks in that army list, so it's just like you can increase your attacks from 2 to 2.
Oh, I see. So did
I,
they want to have a rule where he would go up to 3 attacks? Or like, why did they
uh,
put that in then?
I imagine maybe
They
without
thought he was
looking
one
at it,
attack?
or he may have been available in a different army list where
He
he's only
was
1 attack.
he was one. Yeah, okay, sure,
Although
fair.
that doesn't make sense. I don't know.
So it's a
It
Bilbo
didn't,
nerf, but it's not a Bilbo nerf, but
yeah, it's a bit weird.
they could
Anyway,
have had his attacks go up to 3. That's what I'm
it
saying.
means nothing has changed still.
Sure. So
Um, we
um
did skip over actually
yeah, sorry, the bard.
a
Yeah,
couple of
go
yeah. So one of the big questions that came up at Into the West being the very first event, and then also my event City of Steel that I ran a couple of weeks ago, um, is how does Bard deploy? Well, more specifically, Bard's Wind Lance and his Warband deploy, and it's been clarified they will deploy at the same time as the Wind Lance, basically, but no one can go further on than 6 inches on the board, so you can't like sort of have a weird ass deployment in terms of you
Everyone just has
going.
to go with the
Yeah,
siege engine as
but
it should be.
yeah, doesn't mean he's on the board though before the game starts.
Mm.
Which not great in Maelstrom actually. Um,
Very true. So yeah, you're going to put him on and then roll, and then see
yeah.
what happens.
I mean, there's probably some ways of like protecting yourself with it because you kind of can like you know it's a known quantity at that point.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you've got
uh,
the wind lance to like sort of scream with.
yeah.
So
But no,
sure.
so there's that, and then we've already done Legless, and then
Yeah.
does Guar here count as a Great Eagle?
Mhm.
Mount, and does Radagast Great Eagle mount count when you're working out fledglings?
Mhm.
So the answer to this is Guar is in fact not a Great Eagle, but
Because
the
he
Great
is.
Eagle
Oh.
that Radagast rides is a Great Eagle.
How is
So
Guahir not a great eagle? What the fuck are we saying? He is the
it's just,
greatest of eagles.
that's why he's the greatest eagle.
Oh,
It's
for
not a
fuck's
Great Eagle. Remember, we're rules lawyers here.
sake.
But yeah, so I suppose you could say it's a slight nerf to Guar and like slight buff to taking Raddy instead, like in Raddy's alliance.
They just needed to make Raddy on Eagle a little bit more comparable compared to Guahir,
Yeah,
the Great Eagle.
yeah, but
Guahir's now less of a Great Eagle. Fuck it out. This is okay. Sure, fine, whatever.
Guar not a great parent, I think is what we've worked out.
That is the agenda they're pushing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Fine. Okay, sure. Elrond has had his points changed to 170 points in the White Council. Was he more than that?
I don't know. He may
Must
have.
have been.
Shall I have a look?
Let me check
See if
that.
you know
Oh,
what I'm
fucking hell. Here we go again. I bet I could get this up
I'm
before
guessing
Adam.
it was maybe just missing, or like they accidentally put in too many points. Um,
Oh, I was thinking I could check before Ali, but I fucked it. I fumbled it.
yeah, you did. So Elrond is 180 points in this
Shit.
book.
I'm right on it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm
So
not. Oh, shit. He's what? Sorry,
so
180.
he's 180. So he's got a 10 points deduction,
Oh,
which
shit.
I'm
So there have
guessing.
been some points changes.
Yeah, but I'm guessing he's 170 in every other list he's
Yeah,
in
yeah,
then.
he is. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So fair enough. So
yeah.
Has anyone even used the what is the list that the White Council? Oh no, sorry, the list is called the White Council.
I was about to say, like, this is going to be the
Oh,
stupid
yeah, sure.
questions
Has anyone used that list yet? Probably not. So
somewhere. I imagine there's enough people play the game who have
someone
used
sent
it.
it in, surely to the FAQ,
Yeah,
so to the inbox.
yeah.
So.
But
Um,
just look, yeah, it's like in Rivendell, everyone's 170 points, so you don't have to pay a 10-point premium anymore to have them in White Council.
Fair enough. The mob
Um,
can now return to their homes.
yeah.
Yes. And then that is it because the Fellwild change to 40 mil was put out on the release, as was the Goblin Captain change, wasn't it? To the hero keyword.
Yeah, I mean, most of these are,
They're old.
they're like, or at least they were obvious they're gonna happen, and
Yeah,
most people are
that
probably
one's in it.
playing it that way anyway. So,
Sure. So that is going to do it for the brief FAQ. I guess with a more substantial sample size for the September FAQ, there could be some more changes. Will the third book be out by then? Will there be mistakes in the third book that will be clarified in the
will
September?
Legolas still be able to shoot while mounted?
Yeah, I think that's actually yeah. They might yeah. I think they're going to release the third book before September. Put it that way so that then
That's your hot
change
take, is it?
things. I mean, obviously that's a long way off, but so that then they can change whatever mistakes are in the third book in the September FAQ.
Yeah. I still think we'll get an announcement on that release at the GT in
Yes,
March.
the GT. That was your prediction, I believe, in the monthly episode or something. So
Yeah.
indeed. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. Over the next kind of couple of weeks, I'm going away on holiday. So we are preparing some videos to go up while I'm gone and things, but the sort of frequency on when we uploading could be changing slightly. But yeah, we're planning for that in advance. So, but yeah, just bear that in mind. But I think that's going to do it for the FAQ announcement, the release, and obviously the release of the BOLG model as well. Very nice. So I think that's going to close out. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching another emergency podcast from the Gollum's Gamers.